call the meeting to order since Rich isn't here. Councilman Samaluka?
Here.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Here.
Councilman Halco?
Here.
Councilman Camilleri?
Here.
And Council President Conti is ill this evening and unable to attend. First order of business would be the appointment of an acting council president.
I'll make a motion for Andrew Samaluka.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members by police messenger on December 27, 2013, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Any council comments while we're starting?
Just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Same here. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Halco, Mr. Camilleri, roll call. Oh, wait, all in favor? Any nays? No?
Sure.
Meeting adjourned at 7:03.
We'll go right into reorg.
We gotta do it again, Judge?
Yeah. I got it back.
Huh?
Reorganization meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Southbrook will now come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members by police messenger and sent to all legal newspapers on January 2nd, 2014, in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 235, Public Law 1975. The public is hereby advised that any statements made during the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Southbrook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who take issue with such comments or are offended by same may and have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. I will now call the roll of the 2014 council. Councilman Samaluka?
Here.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Here.
Councilman Halco?
Here.
Councilman Camilleri?
Here.
Councilman Conti is absent due to illness. First order of business is to a motion to open nominations for council president.
I'll make a motion, and I'll nominate Andrew Samaluka.
I'll
Second.
Motion by Mr. Halco, second by Camilleri, I think got it in first.
All in favor on the nominations?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Southbrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that Councilman Andrew Samaluka is hereby appointed council president effective January 1st, 2014, for a term to expire on December 31st, 2014. Council president is to serve without additional compensation. We have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Mr. Council
Oh,
President.
thank
You can take over.
Thank you very much, members of the council. Okay, our first resolution is to appoint Anthony Halco as council representative to the planning board. Any motions?
Make a motion.
Second.
Camilleri and Ms. Mazer, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Next resolution to appoint DiMaria and DiMaria as township auditor for 2014.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Camilleri,
Second.
second by Ms. Mazer, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Next resolution is to appoint Rogat McCarthy, a bonding attorney for 2014.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco, motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Camilleri, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Next one is to designate legal newspapers for 2014, which are the Record, the Community News, and the
Our town.
Our Town, and the Star Ledger.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Halco and Ms. Mazer, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Approval of signatures on township checks.
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Mazur and Mr. Halco, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Authorize interest rate on delinquent taxes.
Make a motion.
Mr. Halco and Ms. Mazur,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Authorize interest rate on delinquent water bills. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco, Mr. Camilleri, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Wants to set council meeting dates for 2014. I just want to, for the members of the public, the proposed meeting dates are for the first Thursday of the month, which would mean that the work session would be the Tuesday preceding that first Thursday, which sometimes will be the first Tuesday of the month, and sometimes will be the last Tuesday of the preceding month. With that information, a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Halco and Mr. Camilleri with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Next one is the appointment of Nancy Murray to the zoning board for a 4-year term.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco,
Second it.
Ms. Mazur is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Next one is the appointment of Jason Mazur to the zoning board for a 4-year term.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco, Mr. Camilleri,
Abstain.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? We have one abstention. Next one is the appointment of Anthony Gatto for a 4-year term on the zoning board.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco,
Second it.
second by Ms. Mazur, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Appointment of John Valentino to the zoning board for the 1-year unexpired term of, fortunately, the late Carlos Bazito.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Halco, second by Mr. Camilleri, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Appointment of Richard Tokash as the second alternate to the zoning board.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco and Ms. Mazur with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Next is the appointment of Peter Ladico of the public agency, as the public agency compliance officer for 2014.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco,
Second.
second by Mr. Camilleri, all in favor?
Aye.
It's an aye. Any nays,
Yes.
other than you? Next one is the readoption of all prior resolutions.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco,
Second it.
Ms. Mazur with the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Next is to approve a temporary budget for 2014 until the new budget's adopted.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Halco,
Second.
second Mr. Camilleri, all in favor? Any nays? Next, appointment of Raymond Carnavale as a qualified purchasing agent.
Motion.
Any, motion? Motion by Mr. Halco, second by Ms. Mazur, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? No.
Let me see the file.
The mayor's,
Just do the
Mayor's-
library,
receiving file?
device consent. Just for
Right, we're gonna do this. Okay, the next is the mayor's appointment, which requires advice and consent of the council. It's appointment to the library as a library board trustee, and the nomination is Veronica Calcaterra.
I'll make
Motion for advice and consent.
I'll make a motion.
Second
Mr.
it.
Halco, second by Ms.
Second.
Mazur. This one we'll do roll call.
Councilman Samaluka,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazur.
Yes.
Councilman Halco.
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri.
Yes.
You need a motion for the receiving file?
Yeah, if you want to do them all as a group.
Yeah. Next, we're gonna do on the agenda, the mayor's appointments as receive and file. We'll do them as a group. Motion to accept them.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco,
Second.
second by Mr. Camilleri. Let's do a roll call.
Councilman Samaluka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazur.
Yes.
Councilman Halco.
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri.
Yes.
I have a motion to open the meeting for the public.
I'll make a motion open to the public.
Second it.
Second, Mr. Halco, second by Ms. Mazur. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Meeting is now open for the public. Anybody wish to be heard at this time? Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
I retired Chuck 92 Claremont. Council President, just when you said that list of the mayor's appointments,
Yes,
is there
sir.
any reason why we don't get a list of it and know what is what?
It's on your agenda.
I didn't have that part. Okay. If it's there, I just.
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda, okay. A couple of things, last month, there was we had the regular meeting and stuff, and the mayor continues to fill the room, which I seen the total occupancy sign on the thing over there. Well, is that 50 people? There was way more than 50 people in here. Okay, like I say, I'm not against awards, I'm not against kids, I'm not against sports. If she's gonna do that and take up our time and be inconsiderate, and also fill the room up to an unsafe, I mean, it was 4 times the capacity, or 3 times the capacity. You can't have that. Count this a council meeting, not a mayor's meeting, not an award ceremony or anything like that. The council meeting should start punctually at 7 o'clock. And there should be 50 people allowed in here, and that's it. And I'm looking for you to enforce that and curtail her from doing what she's doing and taking over the meeting in the beginning. You want to give awards, start them at 6 o'clock, have them at 8 o'clock. If you're going to have a big crowd like that, go to the senior center. You can't have a football team here, a soccer team here, all the parents and a council meeting. You can't do it. It's impossible to do. Because say, it's unfair to him, it's unfair to him, and the rest of the professionals that are here. I'll ask this question through the chair to the mayor. In your 3 years, Mayor, the last 3 years, how many police officers retired?
Okay, Mr. Ratajczyk.
Yes.
I'm going to say this in the beginning, and I don't want to seem like an ogre or a dictator or anything like that, but council meeting is a place to conduct for the council,
Right.
which is elected by the people, to conduct business. It's not a question and answer session. You can make your comments, which may include a question, but
Well, I mean,
the mayor
so, I
doesn't
mean, that's-
necessarily
that's-
have to
That's out
answer.
of line, because us as residents have the right to come up here and say, or ask anything we want.
No,
And
no,
we
it's not
need a
true.
question answered. I'm
You can-
asking her a question. Nobody else, all right,
You
to the
can ask a
council,
question.
can anybody tell me how many police officers retired?
You can ask a question, we'll have that, 99%, and I'll just make a comment. 99% of what's asked up here is public information that can be obtained in the regular course of business. Doesn't have to be at a council meeting.
It's a lot easier if we do it this way, though. Because we'll see the abuses and the negligence that's done on your part.
That's your opinion, I
Okay,
appreciate
that's
that.
not my opinion, and I'm up here to give it.
Okay.
The other question is, how many did she hire? Well, we won't get no answers, I don't know if she's gonna answer or give her no comment again.
So your question is, you want to know how
How
many
many
people
retired and how many did she hire?
since 2010?
Since whenever she took over as mayor, right? And is it proper for her to let the TO go to where it is? I mean, last month, she made a comment after I spoke that I'm misinforming the public and I have misinformation. The information that we were talking about was the 3 officers that came out of the academy. They did not start December 21st, as she stated. I said they must ride with an officer and learn the tour, learn the town and everything else. Them officers are not on the street. Okay, and like I say, she doesn't know what she's talking about, that's the reason why. Let the police department run by the police chief. Just like the engineer runs the engineering, the lawyer runs the legal. I mean, come on, you're stepping in and then you're giving out bad information. You're saying that I'm giving out bad information. Okay, let the police chief and the deputy chief and the rest of the sergeants and everybody, let them run their business. Your business is to do the hiring. You're blaming the chief for not hiring, you're blaming everybody. You know who the blame is? You, because you're the one that runs the town. You're the one that says to do it. I mean, the chief came in here 4 months ago and begged, didn't ask, begged for officers. And now you have the nerve to blame him for not hiring officers, that he's dragging his feet? And as far as laterals are concerned, the only thing a lateral is a quick fix for poor planning on the township's part. You're saying that we have a deficiency in the salary. If a guy's making $60,000, he's sure not hell coming here to make $36,000, okay? You're not gonna get many people to transfer over. And that's so we can get him on the street right away. But like I said, when they give you notice that they're retiring, I'm sure that it's more than 6 months, 5 months, 4 months maybe. You start your interview process then, just like you would in a regular job. You wouldn't let your employees all retire and it's like, oh my God, I have no employees. I don't have this, I don't have that. And that's what you do here. And you wait until the final end. Like I said, we don't plan for anything. We don't plan. And the police department is a major issue here, why you don't have any officers. And the overtime is astronomical. Astronomical. Mr. Lodica gave me a quote about 3-4 months ago at $76,000. You blew $100,000 in the last 2 months, 80 and 20. The overtime total with contractors' use and stuff is between $400,000 and $500,000. The township's part is probably between $250,000 and $300,000. And I mean, that's poor management. Hire regular cops. You won't have that excessive overtime. You won't have it. And we're the ones that pay it, okay? Just like you say your taxpayers, it's costing you just as much. As far as that guy that came up here last month talking about his taxes, the only thing you did is push him off to Artie Carlson. Artie Carlson's not gonna do nothing for him, okay? The reason that the taxes are so high is because the residents now are paying for the commercial tax appeals that Mr. Mulesak's doing such a great job on, okay? We're paying for it now. And here's an old guy here that you send out that's not gonna be able to afford to live here. You sick him over to Artie Carlson. Artie Carlson's not gonna do nothing for him. He can't do anything for him. Can't lower his taxes, can't fix his taxes. The only thing that guy can do is appeal his taxes. That's all he can do. And like I say, you guys just push him away, push him to the side. And like I said, we're paying. We're the ones that are paying. Like I said, we have every excuse in the book. It was money that we couldn't hire cops. We blame the NAACP. We blame the chief. You know what, Mayor? Blame yourself. Blame yourself, because that's the one who's not hiring the police officers. Like I say, you failed the town, you let the town down. You let it down. You dropped the ball, nobody else. As far as the Caudwell Avenue, we don't have a municipal court now in town. We're going to Lodi, which of course is part of shared services or whatever. Why don't we take that building on Caudwell, either make it a town hall that can hold a decent amount of people instead of 50, or make that the municipal court there. It has parking, it has everything. Make this building one thing and make that building another thing. We're losing over there. We spent $850,000, we're losing. Put it to a good use. We need something now. Like I say, we had the thermometer out there for the rec center and everything else like that, but now it's hitting home here. We can't gather the town in this building here. 50 people we can put in here to have a meeting. That's it. We're using other towns' resources like we don't have. Okay? As far as the previous administration, the mayor said that she wasn't blaming the old mayor, or she was blaming the BA. The BA doesn't do any hiring. He doesn't do anything. It's the mayor who she was after. The mayor is the one that, when she said that they were politically punished and didn't get raises. The BA has nothing to do with that. It all comes from the mayor. Just like she gives raises out. And she doesn't give raises out to certain people. That was the previous administration. Okay, and like I say, there are some people up here that are from the previous administration. Ask them what happened. Don't blame the people that aren't here. Don't blame Bobby Ilya. Like I say, if he did such wrong or everything wrong, you should prosecute him and put him in jail. But you can't, because he didn't do anything wrong. Okay? And that's your scapegoat. Like I say, Mayor, also, like I say, you seem to miss, like Friday, we were in a state of emergency or whatever. You weren't around. You weren't around for Sandy. You weren't around for Floyd. You're never around. You're always, doing something or going somewhere, vacationing or whatever. Like I said, don't worry about this town here. And if you can't worry about it or you can't be here, that's, you're not fulfilling your job as duty as mayor, because you told me you were on duty 24 hours. What happened with the health benefits last meeting? We'll answer that,
I'll
okay?
answer that.
And like I say, as far as Market Street is concerned, through the chair, Mr. Costa, who is the guy that's doing the study on that Caudwell Avenue light? that we
Mr.
can get in
Tychik, your
touch
time is up, and I know
Okay.
that's going to be discussed. I'm not to
Okay.
cut you off in
All right.
the middle, but that I know is going to be discussed.
Adamucci, 86 Nettelec Drive. I would like to ask, through the chair, I'd like to ask the mayor, the budget that you're proposing for recreation this year.
Again, Mr. Mucci, no offense, but she
Or
can or
are
can't.
the budgets in? Does everybody, because I can ask
No.
the council, it's fine.
The budget has not been provided to us yet. Still in the works.
I'd also like to know how it's broken down per individual sports, okay? Because certain sports need more money than others, and maybe other sports get more money that they don't need. So you guys need to take a good hard look at that.
We've talked about that, and I think as a whole, we agree with you.
Okay. Are there plans for a full-time recreation director?
Well, like I said.
Okay,
it's not-
if that's the case,
I'll answer your.
if that's the case, I would ask that you would give that person, whoever it is, a livable wage, so it actually is a full-time position. Because I've heard things that the amount that you want to pay a full-time recreation director is not a livable wage. So it won't be a full-time position, so that that person will in essence be a part-timer and not give everything they need to the town of Saddlebrook. So please think about that when you do that. Will this be a qualified individual? Will they have the schooling or the information that they need to run a recreation program properly? You know, it needs to be someone that is not affected by the political changing of the guard that has happened over the years. I've said this before in another meeting. I'm just reiterating if you guys are looking at a full-time recreation director. There needs to be consistency in the recreation program in town. In 12 years, we've had 6 different recreation directors, okay? The thing that I don't understand is why can other towns afford things that we cannot? Other towns that we maybe have more ratables than, why do they have a rec center? Why do they have a full-time recreation director? Why do they have a summer recreation program and we don't? I've come up here, I've handed you guys a blueprint twice now for a summer recreation program. I'd like to know if anything's being done about it. Because it's, you know, and then there's people that, the community school has a program that they consider a recreation program that they're charging well over $1,000 for 6 weeks for children that people can't afford to send their kids to, okay? The program that I handed you was a program that was a self-sustaining, low-cost program. It's something that our children in the summertime can go together. It can create a community. They can go on trips together. I mean, you know I'm beating a dead horse. This is the 3rd time I've been here about this, but I believe in it, and I think it's something that can bring the community together. I think that if nothing is done, this is going to be another year that the children of Saddlebrook will be forgotten. And I'm tired of it, okay? I have 2 young kids in town. I talk to other parents in town. They come to me and say things to me because they know I've been up here and spoken, okay? Things need to change with our recreation program. Things need to get better. I'm pleading. I'm not yelling. I'm not upset. I'm pleading, okay? Because our children deserve the same experiences that I know like Mr. Halko had, because when I brought the program up, he said, yeah, we used to have that in Saddlebrook. I've talked to other people that are older in Saddlebrook, and they've said, you know what, I remember that. We all had that in town. This is a good town, but things need to change. They need to get better in the summer rec program, in the recreation program as a whole. We're falling behind. We're falling behind when we're not competitive in a lot of different things. Yes, we won the Super Bowl and won football, but there's not a sense of community, and it starts with the recreation program. And that goes for the seniors too. You hire a full-time recreation director. They can handle the senior programs. They can handle all of the events that you have in town. So it's not just for the children. It's for the community as a whole. You know, the towns that we consider ourselves to be better than, or whatever you want to say, they have more than we do right now. They do. They have a rec center, or they have a turf field, or they have, and listen, I'll be perfectly honest with you, and this is my opinion. Veterans Field, okay, should never have been built. The money should have went, you should have gotten together with the high school, okay, or with the Board of Education, and I don't put that completely on the town council, but the board and the town council should have gotten together, and they should have done a combined project behind the high school. You have all that real estate. You could have a wonderful facility, the likes of Franklin Lakes, how they have multiple turf fields. We don't even have a high school baseball field. We have to go play in the county park, okay? That's unacceptable. Okay? It's unacceptable. The children of this town deserve better. And I'm going to keep coming until that happens, or I'm going to move. So it's one or the other. Okay? Because it has to happen. I know there's a lot of people that feel the same way as I do, but they're not as outgoing to come up here and say it. So things need to change. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Marilyn Masello, 152 Claremont Avenue. I did just want to question one thing. When Mr. Mucci asked about the budget for this year, we have a temporary budget that was approved in Resolution 18, correct?
Yes.
This evening? Is the process that the temporary budget, is that just the same as the budget for 2013 that just continues through 2014?
It's to get us through and pay the bills until the budget is made.
So is it that everything that was budgeted, and I don't know, I'm just making something up, if it was $6,000 for rec, does that mean right now it's $6,000 as we start until the final budget is done, and then things are adjusted accordingly?
Yes, and there's a certain percentage.
Oh, like it's accrued, basically, I guess,
Well,
each month, in a sense?
26.25% of last year's budget.
Oh, okay, so that's basically
That's the
how it
total
works.
temporary
So
budget.
for recreation, I guess to kind of understand, or the answer to that question, we kind of could answer it, right? Because we have a temporary working budget, so we should know what the amount should be right now at that 46% until the finalized budget is?
26.
26.
26. It's, the temporary budget is supposed to take you through the first 3 or 4 months of the year,
Okay,
so until we adopt the budget. And it's based, in total, 26.25% of the previous year's budget.
of the total previous year's budget.
Correct.
So that's why we
So
don't know
there's certain things
exactly.
that come up now in January, like insurance, our
Right, or
liability
unforeseens.
insurance. We have to fund that so we can pay the insurance. Again, it's just a temporary budget to try to get us through the first few months of the year.
Okay, thank you, appreciate the clarification.
Good evening. Happy New Year. I just had a couple of questions, if I may.
And, we know who you are, but just, you have to
Amos
identify
Small.
yourself and your address.
412 Van Leeuwen Terrace, Saddleback. You gotta excuse my voice, I got a bit of a sore throat. I just had a question, once again, to our township engineer pertaining to the red light on Market Street, not the Caldwell. I know we discussed this many times, and at the last meeting, you said that this would be done soon. It is
He's gonna
another
talk about
month,
it.
and it's still not.
He's gonna talk about it.
Okay.
We're
All right,
gonna
just
address
that's
that.
one of the questions I wanted to ask. One other question I had was pertaining to the appointments tonight. I noticed that Councilman Mazur, is that your son? It is. And that's allowed, you guys are allowed to do that? You could appoint family members to zoning boards? There's no conflicts or anything
I
pertaining to that?
abstained, I did not vote on it.
Yeah, I know you didn't, but I didn't know that was allowable to have a family member on a zoning board when your mom is the council member and that would be,
He doesn't live with me.
didn't mean anything by it, I just questioning it.
It's allowable.
And Mr. Semaluka, at the last meeting, we got into a little bit of a banter there. I noticed a police officer here today, I hope that's not because of me. I don't mean anything, the point that I was just trying to make, you were talking directly to me, and I did try to answer you, and you did bring up the point that you had about 4 or 5 people that came up to you and, and wanted to know when the construction would start on that complex. And I brought up what about the fact that the 60, actually, when we had that meeting over at the senior center, I counted 54 people there. There were 54 residents that came out to that meeting, and everybody in that room was against that project, and you guys pushed it through. I just, don't you listen to the taxpayers in this town? I mean, you people seem to be doing whatever you want to do up there. I just feel that's wrong. That's pretty much it. The other issue was getting back to the flooding issue on Victor, Kern, that whole area there. I know you said that, I'm sorry, through the chair to the township engineer, that the problem was now strictly underneath Route 46. Is that the end of the problem?
No,
There's more to it.
absolutely.
All right, if you can elaborate, I live in that area when it floods out, it's pretty nasty. Not only is it water, it's a raw sewage that comes up through the pipelines, and those poor people in some of those homes, their houses get filled with this junk. And this has been going on for years and years.
No question.
And I'm just really concerned about it. If there's anything that you guys could do to eliminate this problem for once and for all. And at the last meeting, you said that, it should be taken care of by, before the spring rains. Like, what kind of answer is that,
Again, I don't know.
If we get a bad storm next week, everybody's screwed again, That's all I got to say.
Thank you. The engineer is going to address a number of engineering issues.
Thank you for your
Sometime
time.
during the meeting.
All right,
Thank you.
all right, so tonight, right? Correct.
Tonight,
Okay, so, thank you.
for the members of the public.
Good evening. Omar Rodriguez, 275 Madison Avenue, former council president 4 times. What I gotta say 4 times? I'm dismayed to hear what Council President Similuka said tonight. That everything is public, that we shouldn't come here to ask questions. What do you think, that you live in China? This is our council members, that have to respond to questions that we need to address. This is the only forum. If you got nothing to hide, you should not be afraid of answering any questions. And actually, those 10 minutes should not be in place. Since this is the first meeting, I'm going to ask you to reconsider. Because like Adam Mucci said before, he brought a lot of good points. In 10 minutes, it's impossible to discuss or debate any of his ideas to make it happen in order to help the children of the community. Marilyn just said something about temporary budget, or just ask the question. That's not totally true what she was just told today. And you as council members should answer that question. And that's what's in relation to the sports. You got 3 months budget right here. What's gonna happen, because it's not gonna be adopted, is gonna be another temporary budget. It's gonna be 6 months already, so most of the budget will be gone by the time that the budget will be adopted. Therefore, the budget will not be changed. If so, it will just be changed 5%. Anyhow, let's go back to business right here. So this is the forum what the residents should be bring up the issues. Then again, Mayor, you here, last time you were away on vacation again. I just needed to address something, that when we come here and we go to sit down, we don't have the time to address or to do a rebuttal on questions that we just made, and you answer at your pleasure. Most of the times are not accurate. They make comparisons that don't make sense. And like it was stated before, I just don't want to be that redundant, but what you stated that the police officers were going to be on the road right away was totally untrue. The same way that I've been coming for almost 2 years that we need to hire more cops. I said it for Councilman Similuka just to refresh his memory. It has taken us more than a year, I guess, to retrieve documents for your medical bills or insurance or ordinances or whatever. Just to remind you, just to refresh your memory. So it was not public documents. It took a while when we were trying to find out if you were entitled or not to medical benefits. Just trying to remind you. So it took us every single month to ask for documents, if any documents allow you to carry those medical benefits. Until finally, it was accepted that it was no document, but still you just went through, find out a loophole, or just trying to make a new law and still carrying those medical benefits that on my view, you shouldn't be taking it. Just to remind you that not everything is public documents. Then, hiring cops. More than 2 years we've been here and here. The amount of money that we spend on overtime should be able to make us hire more cops in the last 2 years. Yes, last meeting, I was just here again and asking about, if I may, through the chair, if I can ask the business administrator if he has the figure for the total overtime cost in police overtime. Can I have that?
Yes, I have it.
Can I have it?
You wanna wait
say
till
it?
after?
Can you say it?
You want now or after
Yeah,
you're done?
could you say it?
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Council President. Yes.
$367,064.54.
Mhm.
That includes paid overtime through the department overtime of $274,300.88. Outside overtime,
Okay.
meaning overtime paid by outside vendors, was $92,763.63. And this council, last year, or a couple of years ago, changed the requirement, because for people that don't know, every time there's an outside payment.
May
by
I
an
stop you
outside
right there,
vendor- No,
Council President?
you
You
may
just
not.
answered that question right there, because
Yeah.
it's my time. My time is running right now. The point I'm trying to make
Mr. Rodriguez, if
is,
you
no, it's
ask
my
a
10 minutes
question
right there.
and you don't allow someone to answer,
No, you just answered my question, and that's what I'm gonna respond. That's where we're gonna go. It's a big difference between the overtime that you just mentioned and tonight compared to the overtime that we've been told for the longest time. Again, that is not transparency. We, every month, are coming here to ask for numbers, and we are not told about the numbers. And this doesn't take a genius to make the month. You, as council elected officials, should be asking the questions prior to coming to here, because you gotta vote. You are the ones voting. When I questioned you at the last meeting that it's impossible to believe that the total overtime was going to be $155,000, not just that I want to rob it, but it's not that I was just right, it's just common sense. You were just transferring in 2 meetings. 80 plus 20 is 100,000, because you got to realize, I have a problem. I don't have the money. I have to transfer to that line item of overtime. So it would be impossible to spend $155,000. Come on. You can't do that. I'm going to have to bring calculator for you to make the number, to add those numbers. Also, I would just like to say that we've been saying for so long, but it just slept on deaf ears, about Market Street. It is a nightmare. You guys acknowledge, but nothing is being done. 5th Street again, Market Street. What's going on with that ramp? What do you plan to bring? Superman? To walk through the with the wheelchair up there to see if they're gonna go through that ramp? I mean, we've been, 5th Street and Market Street, 5th and Market Street, we've been complaining, the traffic is a nightmare, that the lines are not properly, you said that you were going to talk to the county, whoever, just fall on deaf ears. I would just like to talk again, this is the beginning of the year, and I would like to talk about Colwell Avenue. We're not collecting any taxes. We pay $850,000. County is using it for their own purposes. You, now Council President, said that you, and I guess that the rest of the council members authorized the use of our building to the county. So far, you couldn't prove it with a resolution. I asked you if it was just by word of mouth. Not even our own people in town knew that the county was using that facility as a training facility. My point is, so do we have to pay $850,000 of taxpayers' money to buy a property to be used by the county? Is that fair to the taxpayer? And the taxpayers are actually trying to do their efforts in order to pay the taxes. Children don't have the facilities. Children don't have the equipment to play sports. But then, yes, we have $850,000 to spend on a county. They can have their own facility and purchase their own facility. Is that right for the taxpayers? Then, finally, I would like to address, through the chair, any answers on the crossing guards by the AMP on Mayhill Street. At the end of Mayhill Street, AMP.
we'll let you know.
So, is still working on that?
We'll address that.
You'll address that. just to rephrase your memory to the public, the viewers that are not there, that are not here, about to say, I just want to know, why do we have to change, if we're going to change it, that we shouldn't change it? It should be in place forever, because that goes with the land. I don't care how many times that land will be sold, but the crossing guards were part of the agreement, developers agreement, when we authorized the AMP, Home Depot to go there, because at the entrance, it has been approved to, for a bank and a building to be built. Therefore, whenever that time comes that they're gonna build a building and a bank on the first floor, it's gonna be more traffic. So I wonder how our children are going to do without crossing guards. Therefore, I think that it will be appropriate just to put a deed or something onto the property, and doesn't matter who purchased it, they should still be paid for the crossing guards. And finally, Council President, I would like you to basically revisit the 10 minutes issue. If you consider, like I heard on the street, that you're running for mayor, it should be open to everybody, that everybody should be expressed.
You're listening to the wrong people.
Uh-oh. Some of those are close friends of yours, but I just wanna congratulate you. You're gonna make that move and taking the first step. You know, your close friends, they know better than anybody else. So good luck to you. You're gonna run. We'll see you in the campaign trail. Thank you very much.
Are you running? Are you on the campaign trail
I'm
now?
running for my life to pay the taxes.
Don't trip.
Sylvia Zottarelli, 236 Lanza Ave. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
With all this talk about the crossing guard with Mayhill and the money that should be collected and the agreement, people see it on TV, and people have said to me, and I know it's been said, there was also a deal with TD Bank that they were supposed to pay for a crossing guard outside by them. If someone would look into that, and maybe we can either get a crossing guard there or get some money for it
We
as
did,
well.
and we talked about this, and we'll address this.
Okay.
We'll address it tonight, you'll hear about it.
Okay,
I don't want to take up your time.
that's it. Thanks.
Anybody else? Seeing no one, I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting to the public.
Motion.
I'll make a second.
Mr. Camilleri, and Howard, second by Mr. Halco. Roll call.
Council President Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazur?
Yes.
Councilman Halco?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or member so requested, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receiving file letters, correspondence, reports, and approval of applications and minutes.
Yours?
I'm sorry.
With Plan 9, the plan from the, we're supposed to do the Plan 9.
We have, that's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, I'll ask that Resolution 6 and 7 be pulled. Anybody else want to discuss any particular resolution to pull it off the consent agenda? Seeing none, motion without Resolution 6 and 7, if you can pull those.
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolutions with the 6 and 7 being pulled.
We have first, a motion by Mr. Halco, second by Ms. Mazur. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objection, any nays? Seeing none, passes unanimously. Where is 6 and 7? 6 and 7. Where was it? That's not here. I'm going to read resolution number 6, which, and both 6 and 7 deal with flooding issues. Trying to do something, small steps, I guess, first. Whereas a bi-state commission was proposed to address flooding problems on a regional basis, and whereas in January 2012, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie signed into law a bill to create the bi-state commission, and whereas the New York legislature also passed a bill to create the same commission, and whereas in December of 2013, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo vetoed the bill, even after the New York legislature addressed his concerns and made changes to the bill before it reached the governor's desk. And whereas Governor Cuomo's reasoning for the veto was disputed by the bill's sponsor, New York Assemblyman Ken Zabrowski, and whereas New York Senator David Carlucci, also a supporter of the Bi-State Commission, has indicated that he would continue to push for passage of this bill. And whereas the source of the Saddle River, which flows through the Township of Saddlebrook, is located in the state of New York, and whereas the elected officials of all the towns whose residents have been devastated by flooding know that we can only begin addressing flooding issues on a regional basis, and whereas the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook fully support the creation of this commission as an important step toward addressing the flooding issue that has impacted the residents of the township, and now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that it hereby urges New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, on behalf of both the New York and New Jersey residents who were subjected to devastating floods, to reconsider his veto establishing the Bi-State Commission. Be it further resolved that the Township Clerk is directed to send a certified copy of this resolution to Governor Cuomo, New York Assemblyman Zabrowski, New York Senator Carlucci, New York Senator Gordon, and New Jersey Assemblyman Eustace and Lagana. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halko, second by Ms. Mazur. Roll call.
Council President Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazur?
Yes.
Councilman Halko?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
I want to congratulate Assemblyman Lagana on his victory in his initial service as Assemblyman for this district, and congratulations to Assemblyman Eustace and Senator Gordon on their re-elections. This is resolution number 7. Whereas Assemblyman Scott Romana has introduced Assembly Bill A4313 that would establish an Office of River Maintenance in the Department of Environmental Protection for the state of New Jersey. And whereas the Office of River Maintenance shall be established to administer, enforce, implement, and oversee all activities related to stream cleaning and desnagging projects and bank stabilization or restoration projects in the surface waters of the state. And whereas a known cause of flooding along rivers is the debris remaining in and near the rivers, causing dams to form and block the water from flowing into the rivers. And whereas the Township of Saddlebrook and its residents have sustained significant losses due to the flooding of the Saddle River and its various brooks and streams. And whereas there exists a need for the state to maintain rivers and riverbanks as they do with state highways and roads. And now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that it hereby supports passage of Assembly Bill A4313, and be it further resolved that the Township Clerk send a certified copy of this resolution to Governor Christie, Assemblyman Romana, Senator Gordon, and Assemblyman Eustace and Lagana.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Halko,
Second.
second by Mr. Camilleri. Roll call.
Council President Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazur?
Yes.
Councilman Halko?
Yes.
And Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Before we get to council comments, I think, Mr. Costa, could you address us on some of the issues that were brought up by some of the residents today in regard to some engineering issues that are currently taking place, have taken place, will
Absolutely.
take place?
Just for the proper terminology, should I address you as Mr. President?
No. You call me in.
I think the first thing, I think tonight at least 2 questions were asked about Market Street. And I think every time I sit in this chair, I always hear about Market Street. The first one, obviously, is the left turn signal at Market and Caldwell Avenue. As I stated earlier, that the light was set up and wired to accept a left-hand signal. The county said they didn't want to do it at first because they wanted the traffic pattern on Market to get obviously used to the lights that were put out there and to see if there was a need for it and whether or not this would create a further backup on Market Street. Because again, if you put a dedicated left, the red has to stay longer in order for that dedicated left to go in and phase in and then obviously go through the cycle. I contacted the county numerous times. After that came up here, obviously the mayor instructed me to do so, and the council. And I received an email, actually this morning, and since emails are so special today, I figured let me just read this one. At 11:17 a.m. from Eugene Murphy Jr. He sent it to myself. He copied Joe Femia, Gary Ascalise, and Randy Seitz from the County of Bergen. And let me just read it because it's very short. A traffic count has been completed at the intersection of Market Street and Caldwell Avenue. After reviewing the traffic volumes, this office concurs with your request for a leading green phase for the westbound traffic on Market Street, and will be working on plans to include this phase in the signal timing. I called him back after I received it, and I said, how long do you think this will take to put into motion, actually get the light operational? He said, give him a call sometime tomorrow. He'll have a better answer because it has to be scheduled through, obviously, through their departments in order to get this work completed. But this is the main push, and now I'll follow up with actually getting the work done.
Have you spoken to anyone? It's been an issue, especially with young drivers, the potential for maybe making some mistakes along Market Street. Now, as far as I know, there haven't been any, at least major accidents. I don't know if there's any minor accidents, but about the, I don't know how to put it, the in and out where it gets bigger, the where there normally, or there could be an island. It's not a raised island, it's just striping on the ground.
If I can, again, when this project was originally brought to us, and it was probably 3 years ago, in order to fast track this. Again, this project was languishing for 8 years, if not more. The county wanted to put 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction. We lobbied the county to try to quell the traffic on Market Street, try to reduce the lane widths, and try to make somewhat of a semblance of a downtown. I asked to go a step further and put in landscaped islands in the center, and the county refused to do that. Looking back at it, the push today with the complete streets, that this is the new buzzword around the state and around actually around the country, is to have complete streets, bike lanes, more pedestrian friendly, landscaping, quell the traffic. That's what we tried to do to the best available, and yet, again, we don't have a clean canvas. There's a lot of stores along Market Street, there's a lot of driveways along Market Street, and you need to make sure that these stores are still operational. So that was the reasoning, to put this island in the center and have it with double arrows that you could make these turns in and out of the driveways in order to get to the businesses.
Will anybody, I mean, there have been various complaints, and I'm not throwing any blame on the county, you, anybody, but is there an opportunity to look at it, see the traffic patterns that are established, and see if, in fact, there could be any modifications made? I mean, the county was amenable, and I've known that they've been amenable on occasion to changing things. Nothing is etched in stone. I mean, there's stripes on the road. In terms of the turn arrows, the dueling arrows, as I call them.
Well, the reason, again, you have dueling arrows is because you have multiple driveways on both sides of Market, on the north and the south side. So if you eliminate that, you're going to then eliminate making lefts into these various businesses. And that's what they wanted to accomplish in the first brushstroke.
Now, you can tell me.
They wanted 2 lanes heading west, 2 lanes heading east, with a double yellow line down the center, so you wouldn't be able to make turns in. That's not what you have today. You can make the turns in.
Just, maybe you can help me out here, because
Go right ahead.
I wrote on it today, and my knowledge of striping would be that if I'm on a road and there's a solid on my, to my left, and on the it's a two lines. One of them is solid. The one further away from me is striped, or I'm sorry,
Dashed.
a dashed line. That's a time where you can't pass. You're not supposed to pass. It's illegal to pass. Somebody coming in the other direction can go over. Not talking about left turns or anything like that, but it appears that right near the Dairy Queen, there is a solid line as you're traveling west, and then inside that solid line, there is the dashed line. And, I mean, I've been driving for a long time, but I'm assuming that if, if my son is driving, he's been driving for a few years, may get confused. I'm just trying to figure out, why is there the dashed line on the inside?
There's no prohibition to make a left into the Dairy Queen. And again, during the project, that was one of the big things. The Dairy Queen obviously is very busy, and we wanted to make sure that you could make a left-hand turn into that Dairy Queen driveway.
But in
So-
order to do that, can you go in that middle?
Of course. The
Glide?
middle island is in order to queue and wait for the traffic to relieve itself in order for you to make a turn into these driveways.
So even though you're
Yes.
drifting over a solid line, that's acceptable?
That's the way the striping plan was created by the County of Bergen, yes.
Okay.
And
Well,
that was the
hopefully-
intention, was to be able to make legal left-hand turns into these driveways.
So hopefully whoever's watching this and whoever's here that can pass it on, if there was ever any confusion, especially in the summertime where the Dairy Queen gets very, very busy, that you can go into that area, and that's there for a reason to make your left turn into the Dairy Queen and the other businesses that are in that area.
And again, the mayor, I mean, we lobbied very hard in order to try to convince them to put in landscaped islands. Mike Calderon was with us at numerous meetings. I'm trying to think, Pete, I'm not sure if you were there. There might have been other council people with us at the time also. And they were adamant that they did want to do it. And quite frankly, if you look at the costs over time to put in a landscaped island as compared to putting in a county-specified roadway of 8 inches of dense graded aggregate, 6 inches of stabilized base, 2 inches of top, and maintain that over the life of that roadway, the cost savings is enormous. Plus you get into, now you have green area, you have plantings, you have less runoff, you have less drainage to worry about. They did not want to hear it.
We can still-
I mean, I'll go back
we
to
can
them,
still
I'll
go
try
back.
it again and see what happens.
There was an issue that came up about the Fifth Street area and the flooding issues that we've had in that area. Could you elaborate anything on what's going on with the streams or the,
Fifth Street, as far as Fifth Street, again, the piping network from the DPW yard or adjacent to the PSE&G substation, south to Midland, is completely clean and operational. As the council is aware, as the mayor is aware, there's a reach of pipe in there that is undersized and a very large issue. Underneath Route 46, the pipe is still clogged, it's controlled by the state. However, if we go back to the state now, before we fix the problem downstream, all you're going to do is introduce more water from that section down to the DPW yard and those areas in there that could cause much larger issues for all of those all of those buildings down there. So that stretch has to be completed first, and then attack the problem underneath Route 46, and then ultimately up to Amloyd and correct that piping network. The mayor and myself and Mr. Ladico had a meeting with PSE&G. We came up with additional estimates that PSE&G asked for, and right now we're in negotiations with PSE&G to pick up the cost to replace those pipes. I should know, or the mayor should know, or Mr. Ladico, probably within the next week or two.
and once that PSE&G issue has
It's not a
been addressed-
PSE&G, it's actually, it would
At their
be-
property.
It's
Near their
actually, it
property.
runs through the DPW property, so it runs through township property, but PSE&G, it appears that they're willing to make a contribution towards fixing this issue. Because again, their property is adjacent, they're gonna be doing a lot of work at that substation, so this flooding could also affect their facilities. And we had a very productive meeting, and again, very proactive, and I truly believe that they will pick up a portion of the cost.
Through the chair, Council President.
ma'am.
While we're talking about the drainage at that end of town, and we have our resident here from Van Loon Terrace. It's been 2.5 to 3 years. I have been out there on Victor Street in the floods, Kern Place. I've gone down Van Loon. I've presented to this council the need for what we have to do to rectify the situation that is there 50 years plus from Sylvan Street ongoing to Fifth Street. You know yourself, you get barricaded out from getting onto Fifth Street. I mean, the minute we have a flash flood or a rain, inundated in that area of town. So my bottom line is, we've started south, as the engineer has explained it. But Rob, I would like you to further, because we have been out numerous times, you, myself, Mike Calderon, Anthony Halco. I think every council person has been on Sylvan Street. We have one gentleman that has a problem. He has that driveway that dips. With us being out on the street consistently and constantly, and I have a problem with government because I feel government works too slow, much too slowly. And then the issue comes up of finance and our bonding capabilities. Now, Rob can give you a total description, and this concerns the pipes that run across Market Street all the way over to the railroad tracks. I mean, we do have an old system, but the point I'm trying to make, and he will further describe it, it's a convoluted system that is the cause of those drainage problems there. And Rob can almost give a guesstimate, because he has discussed it with this entire council, the cost of doing business that we would like to do for the future. But as we pay down some of the bonds and we're taking on new other areas like the equipment for DPW and service vehicles for the volunteers and departments. Rob, could you explain the convolution of the pipes going uphill, Van Loon, down
Absolutely.
to Victor, across Market?
Mayor, actually,
Because we're on top of it.
one of the things, again, when this council, and you were so gracious to hire me in my firm, tonight I gave Pete a copy of the plans that actually has all of the drainage, traced sizes, slopes, where it is, in GPS coordinates, that now it's on a disc. It can be given to any department in the community. There's hard copies there that when I'm gone, whether you fire me, I quit, I resign, I die, this stuff will be there so people will know where it is. That's one section. The town doesn't have any mapping, so everything that we've done is go through, trug through the streams, go through, find out which way it's going, where it's buried, where it is. We have that in place. Everything, I would say, for the most part, the
Start at
entire
Sylvan. Run
town,
up
from
Van
Sylvan.
Loon.
From Sylvan, there's two pipes that go through 4 houses from Victor, from Sylvan to Victor and Victor to Sylvan. The reason I say that, the flow goes in 2 directions, which is amazing. It goes around the Little League field for whatever reason. It comes out by Kern. Through there, it goes through house, next to a house, out to Fifth. There's 2 pipes there. They flow in opposite directions. One flows back, one flows the opposite way. It went across the street. It made a turn into a manhole, headed south, went underneath the Amloyd building, came out at the other side of the Amloyd building into an open ditch. The open ditch was full of dirt, debris, never been maintained, so on and so forth. Went down to the railroad tracks, made a left. You go along the tracks back there. Again, if anybody goes back there, go there and see it. It's adjacent to a railroad ditch, never been maintained, never been cleaned, and heads to where the pump station is, behind Mako, I believe it is, back there.
Yes.
Once you get there, it makes a left-hand turn. It comes to a head wall that you can't even see, goes into a pipe underneath the block company. Underneath the block company, just before the Route 46 overpass or bridge, it goes into a manhole. From that point, completely clogged. You cannot get from there to the south side of Route 46. The state has been there, we've brought in people, the county of Bergen is there. So
Correct.
that reach from that point north to where I explained by Amloyd needs to be fixed. On the south side, It comes out to an open pipe by Patty Roofing. It continues down through a drainage ditch behind all these buildings, ultimately to a head wall by PSE&G and the DPW yard. When it gets there, it's a 36-inch pipe. It makes a slight left turn, goes into what's called a U-shaped culvert with just a dirt bottom. So years ago, they never had a concrete bottom on these. They just stuck it on the dirt. That went through. At the south side of the DPW yard is another building that two pipes actually go through and underneath that building. It comes out of that building, through the parking lot by the mustard factory, makes a turn. I didn't even know this was a flower shop or a wholesale florist. Goes back there. We uncovered all of these inlets, continues on. And those pipes were 75 to 85% clogged, full of debris. It took well over a month to actually clean these out. From there, goes into President Street, probably cut across, but now there's an apartment building, so what they did, they made a right-hand turn, a 90-degree turn. Went out to Midland, and from there, down Midland, behind some buildings in Garfield, through the ball field in Garfield, back out through a parking lot behind some industrial buildings, ultimately into Downers Lake. That's to the south. As you go to the north on Sylvan, it comes down Sylvan, makes a right-hand turn, goes through the bagel store driveway. There's an actual siphon there because there's so many utilities in Market Street, they just couldn't lay the pipe straight across. So the pipe actually goes down about 10 feet, I believe, 10 to 12 feet, and it acts as a siphon, comes out on the other side, so it has to go down 10 feet and jump up 10 feet. Go through the open...
There are many more parking lots.
The parking lot, heads out to, not Steinway, I'm trying to think what street that is.
Dewey.
Thank you, I should know these off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Goes through Dewey. Once it gets
Then
to
it's
Dewey,
curves.
they split the flow, continues straight through the back of people's property in that direction, makes a right-hand turn, and actually has to go up 2 feet by the time it gets to Steinway and Dewey, because that is higher by 2 feet. Heads back down the street on there, back around, and through another nice woman's property, into the back, into an open ditch.
To the
Goes for a
railroad.
little bit longer in an open ditch, and by the railroad, there's a culvert, goes underneath the railroad, comes back out on the opposite side of the railroad, comes around Arrow Fasteners, continues down through an open ditch, and then Route 80 is there. So now we go back underneath Route 80. Come back
And-
out on the opposite side by the high school,
And even on-
ultimately get to the Saddle River.
Even from Fifth Street, heading from the bagel store.
Right.
Heading north, we have pipes this size, this size. So I think my point, and Rob did a great job, this council, Pete, myself, not to put kudos, but we understand what's happening with the drainage. We've been out there, as you can see from Rob's description, all of us. And believe you me, if I could reach up to a cloud in the sky and pull a bag full of money down to address this immediately, but we are doing due diligence and trying as best we can to work in phases so that fiscally we can also be soundly responsible to you people. And that's a goal. And after the meeting, sir, I'd talk to you. Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
That's only one section, and then we
I
know
didn't
the
think our
others
town
too.
was that big.
You know what?
Tell
It's
you.
one section. Then you got North Midlands going through that ultimately goes into Elmwood Park, and that's part of the discussion with Fair Lawn. And then the other
Yes,
section
you
is
still have-
Saddle River Road on the corner by, and again, I apologize, as I'm getting older, I should have a better memory. Saddle River Road, where it goes underneath,
Ackerman Avenue,
right, underneath Route 40, Catherine,
Catherine.
and it goes underneath, again, Route 80.
I mean, and again, just
In and
for
out,
the-
completely
just for
clogged.
the public's information and for the safety factor, between Ackerman and Catherine, Saddle River Road, every time the rains came, the flash flood came, the police, the DPW, put out cones, try to station a car there if it was available. Everybody just goes through the water and all of that. I visited with those residents I like to be the people's mayor, get out there, talk to them, get our professionals. Thank goodness Rob was there. Between the DPW, we had the DOT involved, we had the county involved. We uncovered pipes from the hill by the Route 80, as well as down by Saddle River Road. Our own men were pulling weeds and trying to get there. We made quite a few discoveries, and because of the aggressiveness of the engineer and the county and the state and our DPW, we were able to resolve that issue, I would say a good 95%.
Right.
Because now those people were getting the water coming into their garages. So we have multiple drainage issues here that have been left undone that we are working diligently on. Thank you.
Rob, just one other item that was brought up, and I wasn't too sure about a ramp at the intersection of Market. I think what the individual is speaking about is that the sidewalk came up, and there's some problem with the sidewalk by Bruno's Pizza.
Yeah.
Bruno's Pizza.
Because I know that, as most of us were at the Little League parade, and now we're going back to May or something like that. And walking there, it's out of whack. So if you could just take a look at that.
Sure. I mean, did it possibly heave with the cold?
I believe it did.
I think
I believe it did. But if it's still there, and I don't know, but if it's still there and we almost tripped on it in May, can you please make it a priority to look at it?
It was checked at one time, Rob. I think the county went out. Gene Murphy. And
Yes,
then
Well, I'll
it was
take a
part,
look.
it was
check back
part of
on
the
his report. It
construction.
had to be the end of May, beginning of
I'll take a look at it
I think
tomorrow.
Rob-
opening day for Little League.
Yeah, it was like
Yes.
right around Memorial Day or something like that.
Early spring, so that's
April.
April, Joe?
End of April.
End of
And
April.
it's the corner.
It's the
It's-
corner,
It had
Bruno's.
to get a lot worse since then.
Yes.
Because now you have the freeze, the thaw, the heaving, it's gotta be worse.
No problem. The good news
But
is,
Gene Murphy
This-
would
this-
have that on file for
we
the end of
don't,
April.
we're not gonna bother Gene Murphy. I'll look at it tomorrow.
southeast corner.
The good
And
news is, the town was responsible for the contract, and we have the maintenance bond. So-
I think it heaved when they put in the traffic, I think that's where the traffic signal went on one of those corners.
No, there was a pole there.
Yeah.
It could be the pole, I mean, it could be a lot of things,
Yeah,
but
so
let
if
me
you could
look at it.
we'd appreciate it.
No problem.
Anybody have any other questions or issues with Rob while he's here? Okay. It's not on here, but Steve, is there any legal matters that can be discussed and not in closed session?
Updates.
No, there was one tax bill resolution, but our office had a conflict, so Mr. Rupp, our conflict.
Okay.
handled that. And that was a resolution that was adopted this evening.
Okay. Before we get into old business, new business, or council comments, I guess, Mayor, would you like to address the council and the residents?
I'd like to address the council and residents. Our Girl Scout troop, 568, had planned a special service for the Newton, Connecticut anniversary, and it was canceled due to bad weather. So I am advising everyone and inviting everyone this Saturday morning, First Reformed Church at 10 a.m. The girls have written some prose and poetry. They have a very, very nice ceremony. I've been to their rehearsals. I'll be to another one again. But if you could please come out in support of the families and the loss that the Connecticut individual suffered, and to show the girls, particularly our Girl Scout troops, because they do have great projects, and support them. Additionally, the food pantry at First Reformed Church is getting very low, and our other food pantry on Midland Avenue is getting very low. This being a bad economy, recession, unemployment, for those who do attend Saturday, please, if you can bring can of vegetables, diapers, baby food, maybe instant potatoes, items that many of our seniors who we are trying to get the housing for, the affordable housing, they are the seniors that need this food in the food pantry, as well as the infants in our life for the future. So please, and if you cannot attend the service, the church will be glad to, as well as the pastor, take it to his house, drop it off by his front door, and also the other clergy will be joining us for the service that Saturday at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Old business? I had a couple of items I want to just, and I guess, Rob, I'll go back to you. Have we gotten anywhere with numbers for speed tables?
I thought I gave the numbers for the speed. I've
Yeah.
done this. I've sent out.
Not Mr. Halco's, not those
No.
numbers.
Mill it and put in the right speed tables.
And you got the,
We,
okay, can you
yes.
resubmit that, because I
Okay, I will.
I did not see that. The second thing is, we've talked, and maybe you've seen it before, that the county authorized a study, a rather expensive study, by an engineering firm for the four-legged intersection at Market and Essex and Rochelle and Main Street and Lodi. And something has come to us with a plan, and I think the plan that they're going with, Plan 9 from outer space, I guess, I don't know. But it's a plan, and somehow, I don't know how the heck they're gonna do this, but it calls for a left turn only lane on every leg of that intersection. But in the Saddlebrook part, right under Route 80, as I looked at that plan, and again, I'm not an engineer, but when I looked at it, it appeared to be 5 lanes of traffic. Now, I don't know how they're gonna somehow get it
These are
from
golf
2
carts.
lanes to 5 lanes.
These are golf carts, maybe, and smart cars.
I guess we're gonna have to get smaller cars, but supposedly they're finding room. Now, I thought that we had, and I know that we have an issue, because you've got concrete billion-pound stanchions on one side, and you've got the side of Route 80 on the other side. So how they're doing that, I know that they're gonna cut into a little bit of Rochelle Park and add to
They're
it.
going, I mean, what they're gonna do is flare out the section by Rochelle Park. Obviously, this is all new structure. But again,
They haven't finalized the plan, though.
this is a
To your
concept drawing to
knowledge?
go to the next
Concept.
level. But again.
Right, the conceptual phase.
Yes.
And they are looking for our approval
Well,
eventually.
you need to ultimately pass a resolution to support the plan. But, Mr. President, the first meeting that we went to, the question I asked, how much money is in the grant? $3.4 million. Certainly,
It's not enough.
it's not even close to enough for what this plan shows. So how realistic it is, or how fast, or whether it's gonna get additional funding, that I don't know. But I would say at this point, I don't think it could harm the town. So my recommendation to the council would be to pass a resolution supporting it. And again, the only other thing I would bring up, and maybe have the mayor or the council write a letter, or if you want, I'll certainly try to set up a meeting with them in order to then look at Saddle River Road and Market in order to put a light there.
That
Because
was-
at that T intersection, this plan does not incorporate a light on that at
Rob,
that
I was at
intersection.
that meeting with Mike. You had another engagement.
Right.
Mayor,
And
I just